And I would love for women for a second to stop being so team woman just for a second. No. And think, what would it be like to be a man and love a woman? But honestly, like all the things that you may have done out of anger or
I do not understand this, man. You're making a video and saying that when you look at a woman, you feel very exhausted. When you look at a woman that you're attracted to, you feel exhausted because you're thinking about the relationship you have with her, how you're going to put up with her, how you want her to lower her standard and not center her life at all. Oh. She should just be with you and lower her standards to your level because you're not ready to go to therapy or change your lifestyle. If you're exhausted, looking at a woman, you're exhausted, why are you looking at women? Why? You guys, let me show you all this video and I'll see you at the end of the video.
There was a guy that made a video and the caption was, I just look at women and I'm exhausted. Now, he rambled quite a bit and some of the stuff that he said kind of came off like a jerk. But his overall beginning message, I think a lot of people didn't understand it. Because he's not saying like doing work for a woman that you're dating is exhausting. It's this. And I would love for women for a second to stop being so team woman just for a second and think, what would it be like to be a man and love a woman? And if you're like, it would be great because women are perfect, like you're not mature enough for this conversation, please just skip this video. I do not want to read that bullshit. But honestly, like all the things that, you may have done out of anger or said, or the times maybe some of you got physical or just all the shit that you may have put a dude through because you didn't know any better or whatever. Because not all of you are going to, you guys can't keep running back to these excuses in the same way that every other man can't keep running to excuses to condone his foul-ass behavior. But it can be exhausting. And so when a guy gets to that stage, because I was at that stage for a while, it's because of previous things. It's because of previous dating experiences. And that's not even dating, it's relationships. And some of these men is previous marriage. It's kind of like this. Men are simple, okay? I'll explain it in men's terms, and I'll use Call of Duty. Men know 25 kill streak gets me a tactical nuke. So sometimes being with some of y'all is like, I did that. Where's the reward? Where's the tactical nuke? There is none. And so like you solve a problem where you think that you've came to a conclusion that's going to overall better the relationship and there's nothing there, nothing changes. And so you're just stuck like, okay, so then nothing matters then. Like I can point all this stuff out and nothing's going to change. And then even when you recognize there's a problem, you try to like explain it or talk about it. And you can't do that neither because then certain type of woman, she pulls out a sword and shield and she's like, this is a fight. It's like, no, this is not a fight. If this continues, we're not going to be together and I can't live like this, but I also don't want to live without you. And then it's just destined to fail, even though that you as a person know, like, these are ways that we can solve this shit. Like, I thought we were supposed to be together. And then you have to watch it tank because of unresolved issues. And then it's funny because sometimes you'll talk to these women later and they're completely different. Like they're exactly what they needed to be 5 years later. But then it screws you up and then you have to pick up the pieces and then stop drinking so much and get back into the gym because your physique's shit now and all this stuff or whatever it may be. It becomes exhausting. So after you go through that a few times, yeah, you'll go somewhere and you'll be like, yeah, that girl's beautiful. Cool, stay away from me. You just have no interest. I used to go to clubs and bars in the past and way in the past, and I would look at it like I need to, get like at least 4 to 6 Instagrams or phone numbers. Then I remember fast forwarding like, 4 years later, and then I would go to clubs and bars, on the weekends, visit some friends or whatever, and there'd be women all around. And I'm like, how come you're not talking to any of them? I was like, I don't care. I don't want to speak to any of them. So I'd look at a woman like, damn, she's beautiful. Like, and you think like, oh, that'd be dope to like hold her or whatever, or have her next to me or whatever. But you look at it like, I don't want to deal with any of the shit that comes with that. So there were a lot of guys that had like the best of intentions for you, that like really fantasized about like a future and a life with you. And for some of you, maybe you're younger, you didn't know any better, but y'all tortured the shit out of that dude. And for me, it was always the women that I thought that would never do that. Like there was one girl that got a good family upbringing, family would go to church all the time. She's telling me like, oh, we'll have to go to church in the future and stuff. And she's like, I love reading books. I don't like dressing too revealing. And so then when we'd go somewhere, she'd dress in like a sundress or something. And I'm like, that looks hotter than a woman showing a bunch of skin. Like, that's great. Like the way it hugs your body. Like, so I was so impressed with everything because that's not the background I come from at all. So I was like, maybe that's what That's what I'm supposed to go for. You know, I'm different, so we'll balance each other out. That woman screwed me over worse than any other woman ever has. And there's been multiple times to where I looked at a woman like this and it was just a complete and utter opposite. And so it just becomes exhausting. It is a stage that, you know, some men stay in for, you know, longer than others. But you got to be honest, like some of your homegirls, you got a beautiful homegirl. This is not going to apply to all women, but for sure a lot of you. You have a beautiful homegirl that gets a bunch of attention. You know how she is behind closed doors. You know that woman. Like some of you got homegirls, you're like, good luck any guy that's trying to be with her. So yeah, after a while, you just see some women and you're just like, you're beautiful, sweetheart. I love everything that you're wearing and how it fits you. Great, cool. I'm going to look this way now. So that's what I think generally he was trying to say.
Is angry at women that have worked on themselves, women that understand themselves, women that understand what is right from wrong. He's pissed at that. He's pissed at women that are centering themselves in relationship. He wants to be in a relationship with a woman whereby he will be the center of their life. And because he can't get it, he's exhausted with type of women online now. He's exhausted with the women he's meeting these days. I have reaction on this video. Let us know your thoughts about this video down in the comment section. And I'll see you guys at the end of the video.
And I would love for women for a second to stop being so team woman, just for a second. No. And think, what would it be like to be a man and love a woman? But honestly, like all the things that, you know, you may have done out of anger or said, or the times maybe some of you got physical, or just all that you may have put a dude through because you didn't know any better or whatever. You can't keep running back to these excuses in the same way that every other man can't keep running to excuses to condone his foul behavior. It can be exhausting. I'll explain it in men's terms, and I'll use Call of Duty. Men know 25 kill streak gets me a tactical nuke. So sometimes being with some of y'all is like, I did that. Where's the reward? Where's the tactical nuke? There's none.
Despite us all living in a patriarchy where men are centered in every single thing, you're telling women, stop centering yourself when it comes to dating and center a man like we taught you. He's still telling you, center men again. This whole decentering men thing, it's really ruining the vibe. Nothing like being compared to a kill shot in Call of Duty, am I right, ladies? This man is basically saying, since I'm sure you've done something toxic to a man in your past, you should understand why he's toxic too, and you should give him some grace. Oftentimes when women feel that they're being toxic, you know what they do? They go to therapy. They go to coaching, they go to counseling, they read the books, they go on the retreats. Sometimes they even take a few years off from dating, but they do the work. But oftentimes these men just think that she's going to put up with your level of toxicity or she's going to fix and heal you. And that's the difference. It's a woman's responsibility to put up with you being toxic because of your exes when she's done the work to heal her toxicity from her. This is the main reason why so many of them are lonely, because instead of improving themselves and raising the bar, they'd rather you lower it.
So there was a guy that made a video and the caption was, I just look at women and I'm exhausted. Now he rambled quite a bit. And
okay, I didn't see the original video, but apparently the guy, he was just like tired of dating. Like he was just exhausted of it. And I'm just like, if you ever get to the point where you are exhausted of like trying to date, of like trying to find a woman or a man for that matter, you're trying way too hard. And this is why I tell people all the time, some of you look at like finding someone to be monogamous with as if it's like the air you breathe. And it should never be that way. Not once in my life have I gotten tired of women. Now, mind you, I've gotten tired of certain women, but like just women as a concept, it's never happened. Because genuinely, contrary to what this app would want you to believe, dealing with women is not that hard. Like in and of itself, if I'm talking to a couple women, I can manage that. And if that's not you, that's because you're doing too much in some aspect. I don't know what it is, but you're trying too hard. You shouldn't feel like you have to strain yourself in order to date. And if someone's making you feel like you do, then they aren't into you. And again, that's just genderless advice. Like you telling me that you're tired of dating makes as little sense to me as you telling me as like you're tired of having friends. Like how? Like how does that occur?
Team woman, just for a second, and think, what would it be like to be a man?
By the social contract of Western society, I'm already a better man than 3/4 of them. And that's without the benefit of the privilege. So I don't know what they're whining about. I have integrity and bravery and honesty and accountability and emotional intelligence all before I even put my panties on in the morning. I am a good man in a storm, a man of my word, a jack of all trades. And he said all of that as if what? It's hard? Honey. Keep up, buttercup.
Oh, team woman, just for a second, and think, What would it be like to be a man?
Hey, good morning. So I saw this video as a woman and I had a pretty guttural reaction. And I think that's what you found in a lot of cases because your comment section is very telling. As a woman who is a mother to a son and is mature enough to have this conversation, I'm going to address this with you as if you were my son. If your viewpoint towards women right out of the gate is, oh, this is going to be exhausting, just leave women alone. They're not asking for anything more than that. Have you ever heard the quote that women speak men, but men don't speak women? This is because women grew up in a patriarchy, a society built by men for men, where men are the greatest benefactors. And for years, many women were asking men to step off of Team Man for just a moment and understand what that must feel like for women. And the overwhelming response from men was, choose better. In other words, fix your own problem. And our way of fixing that was to choose better. And unfortunately, that comes with standards that are unattainable for the average guy. That's the only way we can be sure that we are not finding ourselves in another negative situation or another dangerous one. We've also been telling men for years that the patriarchy, the misogyny, is just as negative for them as it is for women. And this whole conversation is the awakening of the men that are starting to understand how negative this impact is on them. Because without all of this misogyny, you wouldn't have a collective of women with overall negative experiences with men. It would be much different. And when the overall collective of women's voices is telling you that it's just been one negative experience after another with men, that is going to have an impact on the men that didn't even participate in any of that. You might be the best man on the planet, but you can't undo the lived experiences of a large collective of women. Even asking women to take a step back and imagine what this must feel like for you is a very selfish ask. It's one that asks women for more unpaid emotional labor. You want us to understand where you're coming from, but we still have yet to see any results of you ever understanding how we got here in the first place. So asking women straight out of the gate to solve this problem for you or help you solve this problem is the wrong move. We jumped through all the hoops. We learned how to choose better. We went to therapy. We learned how to love ourselves, how to take care of ourselves. We stepped away from people, places, and situations that feel emotionally unsafe. And in many cases, that's just women choosing to be single, choosing to be at peace, and choosing to have a life that's not risky, where they don't have to risk their emotional or physical safety. And that sucks. That really sucks for the good men. And yet, most of the good men I know are in relationships with women because they're not afraid to put the blame where it belongs. And they're not asking women to understand what it must be like to be the most privileged demographic in society. They speak out on problems with women because the good men are on this team woman that you're asking us to step away from. Women aren't asking for your time, they're not asking for your attention, and they're not even asking for your understanding anymore. So if your response right away is negative straight out of the gate, that's going to be a negative experience for both you and that woman, and therefore you just shouldn't do it. Just leave them alone. They are not asking for anything more than that.
They would never work on themselves. They don't. They would rather, if a man needs help, is broke, is mentally unstable, instead of him to go and look for who is going to help him, go to therapy, work on themselves, no, they'll go and find a girlfriend. They will go and find a girlfriend that will bend our rules for them. They want a woman that will change them, a woman that will lower our standard around them. Women are learning every day. They are evolving. They are changing their thoughts every day. And then I feel like that is why there'll be a lot of men lonely these days, because they're not ready to change. They're not ready to see faults in whatever they are doing. They feel like you as a woman should always do whatever I want you to do. Like, I just feel like they will remain lonely and we are not even bothered. We're not bothered even if they die lonely. You guys, what's your take on this video? Let me know your thought about this video down in the comment section. Respectfully, as always, your girl Maria Davis, and thank you all so much for tuning in today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you on my next one, guys. Bye.